Dear students, this is the continuation of my last lecture. You all might have watched my last lecture. And to recall the points what we had discussed in the last class, I had given 3 questions at the end of my lecture. Many students have responded very well. Again, we go back to the questions. The first question what we asked is define supply chain in your own words. So what did you understand by the word supply chain? Supply chain means it is a process by which you are able to satisfy the customer request. For that functionality, different parties are involved in that process. That is what we have discussed in the supply chain. The second question, what are the objectives of supply chain management and what is the importance of word cycle time? So what is the objectives we have discussed? We want to reduce the redundancies and reduce the cycle time and increase the customer value. And what is the importance of our cycle time? The flow of information or product or money, it is taking place in both the directions, that is from the manufacturer to the customer side and also sometimes from the customer side to manufacturer. Suppose you may have a doubt how it takes place in both directions. For example, manufacturer supplies the product through distributors, retailers to the end consumer, and consumer pays the money, and again that money goes back to the manufacturer through the same path. Sometimes if the customer is not satisfied with the product, he may have the option to return the product again to the manufacturer. So that way the flow of information, product or money takes place in both directions. That is why we use the word cycle. So the ultimate aim is we want to reduce the cycle time. Third question what we asked, mention the stakeholders involved in supply chain. So that answer you know very well: suppliers, manufacturer, distributors, retailers and consumers. These are all the stakeholders involved in any supply chain. So with this background, we are moving to the next topic, that is what are the functions of supply chain management. So the sub functions include demand management. What do you mean by demand management? So nothing but forecasting the demand. That is what is the need for the particular product and how it occurs in a year or in a month or in a week or in a certain period of time. For example, if you take jewels, there will be a great demand in marriage seasons. Or if we take clothes or ready-made cloth materials, there will be a demand in festivals like Diwali, Christmas or Ramzan. These are all the times where you find a peak demand for these products. Like this, for every product, you can analyze the demand pattern for a particular specific period. Period may be in a year or in a month or in a week. And accordingly, we should be able to satisfy the demand. Again, in turn, the production will also take place based on forecasting the demand. That is what we call it as demand management. Then what is the second function? Inventory management. Inventory means to keep the products in stock well in advance so that the time taken to satisfy the customer is reduced. At the same time, what is the level of stock that is to be decided in advance, because if you maintain more number of items in stock, that may also lead to a problem. So the optimum level of stock to be maintained in warehouse or in production. That is called, we call it as inventory management. The third function is transportation, that you know very well, how you transport the materials or how you transport the finished product from one place to another place, and what is the mode of transport, how it is to be transported, so that no loss will take place for the products. And next function is warehousing. Warehousing means you keep the items, keep the products, finished products in stock in different places, so that irrespective of locations, you will be able to satisfy the consumers. Next function is order processing. Order processing means the order comes from the retailers or distributors, or of course sometimes from the customers also, and how the order is processed and how much time you take to satisfy the or fulfill the particular order. And finally, the information management, of course, that is where our computer science people plays a role. So this information management is playing a role in all these functions, from production of the product till the product reaches the consumer. Supply chain management is a cross-functional approach including managing the movement of raw materials into an organization. Certain aspects of internal processing of materials into finished goods, and the movement of finished goods out of the organization and toward the end consumer. What do you mean by cross-function approach? Cross-function approach means various units of an organization or various team of peoples are working together to achieve the common goal of the organization. That is the meaning of cross-function approach. Okay, I will tell you the example for what is not a cross-functional approach. So in a garden, there is a need to plant 50 seeds in that particular garden. So three persons were called. The first person was given a job to dig the hole or pit in the earth. So what he will do? He will go and dig the holes for all these seeds, and his job is over. The second person he was allotted, he has to put the seeds into the pits. The third person, he has to close the pits. So that is the plan of the job. So what has happened? The first person came and he started his job digging the holes, and he completed it and he went away. The second person was little bit late. So the third person, whose job was to just close the pits, so without consulting the second person, the third person just closed the pits and he went away. Now the second person came and he saw that, and he was so surprised to see where is the pits to put the seeds into it. So what is the essence of this example is there is no coordination between the people. So this is the example for non-cross-function approach. So when you say cross-function approach, all the people working together, that is what the meaning. So in this supply chain management, the movement of raw materials from various suppliers to organization, and internal processing of this raw material should take place, because then only you can get the finished final product. And then this final product should go out of the organization, it has to reach the end consumer. So all these units should work together in coordination to achieve the common goal of the business. As organizations strive to focus on core competencies and becoming more flexible, they reduce their ownership of raw materials, sources, and distribution channels. What do you mean by this? If you take any company, for example, you take Maruti car company, what is their core job? To produce cars actually, but in the car itself, the main job is to produce effective, powerful engine which provides better fuel mileage and other speed or these kind of things. So the core competency of this car company is to produce, to manufacture better engines. So that they will concentrate only on that core competency, so that what they will do, they will concentrate on how to produce a better engine and other design of the car with more facilities, rather than the ownership of the raw material sources and distribution channels. So every company wants to focus on their core competency rather than focusing on raw materials and distribution channels. So there are four major decision areas in supply chain management. The first one is location. Location means the location of the factory where they have to manufacture. The location of demand, where they get more demand for the product. Location of the raw materials, where they can get raw materials. So we have to consider all these issues. Location of warehouses, where we can keep the products in stock. So all these things comes in the point of location. Then you talk about production. So what is the nature of production? Whether it is a mechanical industry or electronics industry, or it is a software industry, or what type of industry, and where we have to locate the production. For example, we take cement factories, they keep their factory very near to the places where they get raw material. For example, in Ariel, you can find a lot of cement factories because they get raw materials there itself. So that is what production, what where we have to produce and what type of industry, and how the production is to take place. And inventory we already discussed, that is to keep the finished product in stock so that we can service the consumer in a very short period. And fourth one is transportation or distribution, that means moving the goods from one place to another place. So these four major decision areas are to be concentrated in a supply chain management, that is location, production, inventory, and transportation. Next we see the role and the importance of logistics and supply chain management. The first point is advances in technological and quantitative techniques. Today, the technology plays a role in any field. For example, you take a courier. Sometimes back, when we get a letter through courier, the delivery boy used to get signature from the consumer so that to ensure that the letter was received by that particular person. But nowadays, that practice is removed. So what the delivery boy, what he do, after delivering the letter to the particular consumer or user, he just sends a message through his mobile app to the company. Again, the company sends a message to the user to check whether the letter was received by the concerned person. So that is what technology plays a role in any kind of activity that is happening in day-to-day life. And quantitative techniques means you can use any statistical approach to forecast the demand, or what is the status of warehouses, inventory, and how the transport provides better efficient moving of goods. So all these things can be done through statistical analysis of techniques. The next point is significant opportunities presented by e-commerce potential. So as you all aware that today, like Amazon or Flipkart, they play a critical role in supply chain business. So the customer is able to place the order in a very short period, and also they are able to get it in a very short time. So that is where the e-commerce operators play a role in delivering the finished goods to the consumers. The third point is profit leverage resulting from increased logistic efficiency. So as you increase the efficiency of delivery system, so your profit will also increase. For example, you take in Amazon, there is a concept called Amazon Prime. Once you become a member of Amazon Prime, your delivery time is reduced compared to the ordinary consumer. But in turn, the Amazon Prime member should pay more than, or he has to pay a membership fee for a particular period. So that the profit also increases for the company by increasing the efficiency of logistics. The next one is increased focus on computer technology and distribution software. So the software in the background are computer technology in terms of various kinds of devices, sensors or RFID or different kinds of hardware devices. So all these things helps for the better distribution of products to the consumer in a better way. Questions for this session is given in this slide. We try to give the answer today itself.